What would you do if you found a lost wallet with thousands of dollars inside? Would you keep it for yourself or return it? For Leah, a homeless woman with nothing but her integrity, returning a millionaire's wallet changed her life in ways she never expected. This heartwarming story is a powerful reminder that doing the right thing can lead to the most unexpected and life-changing opportunities. It was a rainy morning in downtown Seattle, and Leah Turner, a 32-year-old woman with tangled brown hair and worn-out sneakers, trudged through the puddles, hoping for a break. She hadn't had a warm meal in days, and hunger gnawed at her. Leah had been living on the streets for months, ever since losing her job as a barista and her apartment due to mounting debts. With no family to turn to, she had been struggling to find any sort of work. Her stomach growled loudly as she searched for help-wanted signs on shop windows. As she walked down the street, her tired eyes caught something unusual on the sidewalk, an expensive-looking leather wallet, carelessly tossed aside near a busy cafe. She bent down, hesitating for a moment, before picking it up. Upon opening the wallet, her heart skipped a beat. Inside was a thick wad of cash, credit cards, and an ID with the name Lucas Bennett, the CEO of one of the largest tech companies in Seattle. Leah's hands trembled as she read the card. She knew Lucas well. He was a name on every business magazine, a symbol of success. But her grandmother's voice echoed in her mind. "Do what's right, even when no one is watching." Leah took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the wallet in her hands. The money inside could solve all her immediate problems. She could buy food, rent a small room, and finally get off the streets. But as she stood there in the middle of the bustling Seattle sidewalk, something inside her told her not to keep it. The temptation to take the money was overwhelming, but her grandmother's lessons ran deep. Always do what's right, even when it's hard. She closed the wallet, clutching it against her chest as she walked away from the cafe. She couldn't ignore the pull of her conscience. After all, she wasn't the only one who needed help. Lucas Bennett had surely lost this wallet by accident, and it wasn't hers to keep, no matter how desperately she needed it. Leah had no idea how she was going to return it to him, but she made up her mind. She would find a way. She didn't know where to start. Her feet ached from walking, and the streets felt like a labyrinth of uncertainty, but she knew she had to try. Hours passed as she wandered through the city. The rain continued to fall in a steady drizzle, but Leah's determination kept her moving. Eventually, she reached an area she had only seen in passing, the headquarters of Bennett Technologies. The building was a towering glass structure that loomed over the city, its sleek design reflecting the gray sky. It was a place Leah had always dreamed of, but never imagined she'd step foot in. Standing outside, she felt out of place, as though she were an intruder in a world that wasn't meant for her. The guards at the entrance looked at her with a mix of suspicion and indifference, but Leah pressed on. She had come this far, and she couldn't turn back now. She approached the building's entrance, trying to act as though she belonged. When she pressed the intercom button, a stern voice crackled through the speaker. "Can I help you?" the security guard asked. "I need to speak with Mr. Lucas Bennett," Leah replied, her voice steady but tinged with nervousness. "It's important." There was a pause on the other end. "Mr. Bennett doesn't see anyone without an appointment." "What's this about?" Leah hesitated for a moment before speaking again. "I found something of his. A wallet. It's very important that I return it to him." The guard chuckled, clearly unimpressed. "A wallet? You think he's going to care about that? Go back to where you came from." Leah's face flushed with shame, but she didn't back down. "Please, I really need to speak to him. It's important. If you don't let me in, you'll regret it when he finds out." The guard raised an eyebrow, clearly skeptical, but something about Leah's intensity made him pause. After a few long moments, he sighed, rolling his eyes. Fine, wait here. I'll see if he wants to talk to you. Leah nodded and stood there, her heart pounding in her chest. She had done what was right, but now she could only wait. Her thoughts raced as she stared at the massive glass doors, wondering what would happen next. Inside the building, Lucas Bennett was in his office, reviewing business reports. A knock sounded on his door, and one of the security guards entered. "There's a woman at the gate, sir," the guard said, looking at Lucas with a mix of confusion and concern. "She insists on speaking with you. She says it's important." Lucas glanced up from his screen, a frown creasing his brow. "What does she want?" "She didn't say. Just kept insisting she couldn't leave without talking to you. She looks, well, like she's had a rough time." A wave of curiosity washed over Lucas. Normally, he would have brushed off a situation like this, but something about the way the guard described her made him pause. "I'll go see her," he said, pushing himself away from the desk. There was something about the persistence in the guard's voice that piqued his interest. Lucas Bennett stepped into the elevator, the sharp chime of the doors closing cutting through the air. He wasn't sure why he was going to see this woman. There was nothing urgent on his calendar, but the mention of someone insisting left a strange curiosity gnawing at him. He adjusted his suit, mentally preparing himself for whatever was coming. The elevator descended, and he arrived at the building's entrance, where Leah stood waiting. She was wet from the rain, her hair matted to her forehead, and her clothes, simple, worn, betrayed her harsh circumstances. The wallet she had found still clutched tightly in her hands. Lucas couldn't help but notice the raw exhaustion etched on her face, the kind of exhaustion he hadn't seen in a long time. He approached her slowly, his steps purposeful but wary. Leah looked up as he neared, and her wide brown eyes met his. For a moment, neither of them spoke. The air between them was heavy, filled with unspoken words. Finally, Leah broke the silence, her voice low but firm. "Mr. Bennett, I found your wallet this morning. She hesitated, holding it out to him. "I wanted to return it to you. Everything's here. The money, the cards. I didn't take anything." Lucas's eyes moved from the wallet to her face. There was something about her, an honesty in her expression that struck him. "You didn't take any of the money?" he asked, still shocked by the sheer trust she was showing. Leah shook her head, her grip tightening on the leather. "No. It wasn't mine. I wasn't raised like that. My grandmother always told me to do what's right, even when no one's looking." His gaze softened, and for the first time, Lucas felt a stirring of something unfamiliar. It wasn't the typical gratitude he might feel for someone returning an item. No, this felt different, something deeper. Here stood a woman, vulnerable yet determined, with nothing to gain but doing the right thing. It was a rare sight, especially in a world where people often took advantage of situations for personal gain. "Why would you come all the way here to return it?" Lucas asked, more to himself than to her. Leah paused, her chest rising and falling with a deep breath. "Because it's the right thing to do," she said quietly. "I couldn't keep it. I wouldn't have been able to live with myself." Lucas stood there for a moment, processing her words. The heaviness of his own life, the endless meetings, the high-pressure decisions, the loneliness, suddenly seemed so much more meaningless. This woman, a stranger, had just reminded him of the value of integrity, something he had lost sight of in the chaos of his wealth and status. He studied her again, taking in her tired eyes, her weathered appearance, but also something more, a quiet strength. It was clear that she had been through struggles of her own, battles that had left their marks on her, yet she stood before him, holding the wallet with nothing but pure honesty. "You really didn't take anything?" Lucas repeated, almost in disbelief. Leah shook her head again, her expression unwavering. No. It wasn't mine. Lucas let out a slow breath, his mind racing. It was in that moment that something inside him shifted, something deep and unexpected. This was no longer just about a wallet. It was about the person standing before him, someone who had more integrity than most people he had ever known. "Thank you," he said, his voice quieter now. "I don't know how to properly thank you for this." Leah glanced down at the wallet, her fingers still gripping it tightly. "I didn't do it for thanks," she said softly. "I just did what felt right." At that moment, Lucas knew something had changed inside him, even though he couldn't yet explain what. But one thing was clear: Leah Turner was no ordinary woman. Lucas stared at Leah, still holding his wallet in her hands. He hadn't expected this, a simple return of a lost item turning into a moment of reflection. But as he looked at her, standing in front of him with nothing but honesty and determination, something inside him stirred. The world he had built, full of business deals, board meetings, and endless demands, suddenly seemed hollow. Leah stood still, her eyes never leaving his, the rain now falling gently around them. Despite the chaos of the world swirling in her life, she seemed calm, as if she had found peace in doing what was right. It wasn't something Lucas could say about himself. He had spent years chasing after success, accumulating wealth, but at what cost? "Why are you standing here?" he asked quietly, as if he could see past the facade of his own life into something real. "You don't have to explain yourself, but I want to understand." Leah shifted her weight, the rain still drizzling over her head, her soaked clothes clinging to her skin. But she was unwavering, a silent force of strength despite her circumstances. "I don't know," she replied, her voice soft. "I guess I couldn't live with the idea of keeping something that wasn't mine. I've had to fight so hard to survive, but my grandmother always told me that no matter what, I should do the right thing." Lucas's thoughts drifted to his own upbringing. He had been taught similar lessons, but somewhere along the way, they had been buried beneath the weight of ambition. He had lost touch with the simplicity of integrity. And now here was this woman, someone who seemed to have so little in the world, standing before him as a reminder of everything he had lost. He took a deep breath, feeling a tightness in his chest. "You're right," he said, almost to himself. "I've spent my whole life chasing things. But for some reason, what you've done, just returning a wallet, has made me question everything." Leah looked down at the wallet, as if she had never really thought about the importance of her actions. "I didn't think it was a big deal," she said. "I was just doing what felt right." Her words hit him like a jolt. Here she was, a woman who had nothing but a deep sense of right and wrong, doing something as simple as returning a wallet, and yet it was this very act that had changed his perspective. He'd spent so many years building an empire, but it felt like he'd been moving away from the person he truly wanted to be, the person who cared, the person who valued others for their integrity, not their wealth. "You've given me a lot to think about," Lucas admitted, his voice more vulnerable than he had intended. "I'm used to people wanting something from me. But you..." He paused, searching for the right words. "You've shown me that there's more to life than just business and success." Leah smiled faintly, but there was no pride in it, no expectation of thanks. It was simply the smile of someone who had done what they knew to be right. "I don't have much," she said softly, "but I do know that honesty and kindness are things that can't be bought, no matter how much money you have." Lucas felt his heart stir as he looked at her, not as a homeless woman, but as someone who had restored his belief in humanity. Her simplicity, her willingness to do the right thing without expecting anything in return, It made him feel something he hadn't felt in years. Hope. "You've changed the way I see things," Lucas said quietly, locking eyes with Leah. "Thank you for reminding me of what really matters." Leah nodded, her expression soft. "It was just a wallet," she said, as if her actions were insignificant. But Lucas knew they weren't. She had done something that no one else in his world had managed to do. She had reminded him of the value of integrity, of doing what's right even when no one's watching. The sound of the rain softened as Lucas and Leah stood in front of the Bennett Technologies building, the air heavy with unspoken thoughts. Leah had done something Lucas never expected. She had given him more than just his wallet back. She had given him a glimpse of a life he had long forgotten, one rooted in simple values and real human connection. "Thank you," Lucas said again, though it felt insufficient. "For this, and for reminding me of what I've lost along the way." Leah just nodded, not expecting any more gratitude than what she had already received from herself. She had done the right thing, and that was enough. But as they stood there in the quiet drizzle, something inside Lucas shifted. He knew he had to do something for her in return. Not just because she had returned his wallet, but because she deserved more than the life she had been forced into. "Leah," he began, his voice steady but carrying an unusual weight. "I want to help you." Leah blinked in surprise, looking at him. "Help me? I've already gotten what I need, what I could give. I just wanted to make sure you got your wallet back." "I understand," Lucas said, taking a small step toward her. "But you've shown me something today that I didn't expect. I've been surrounded by people who want something from me their whole lives, but you came to me with nothing in return, something so valuable without asking for a single thing in return. That's rare." Leah hesitated, unsure of where this conversation was going. She was used to rejection, used to people seeing her as nothing more than a homeless woman, a stranger in a city that had long forgotten her. She had never been offered help without strings attached, especially not from someone like Lucas Bennett. "What are you saying?" she asked cautiously. Lucas took a deep breath, his words slow and deliberate. "I'm offering you a job." Leah's heart skipped a beat, but her instincts told her to be cautious. "A job? I don't understand. I don't have much experience." "You have everything you need," Lucas replied, his voice warm with conviction. "You have integrity, compassion, and a genuine ability to connect with people. I think you'd be perfect to help care for my son." Leah blinked, surprised by the offer. "Your son? What do you mean?" Lucas explained, his gaze softening. "My son, Ethan, he's been through a lot. He's closed himself off from the world ever since his mother passed away. I've tried everything to reach him, but nothing has worked. He's been shutting down, and it's heartbreaking to watch. I need someone who can be there for him, someone who doesn't just see him as a child to be fixed, but someone who will listen, who will just be there for him." Leah felt a pang of empathy. She knew what it felt like to be lost and alone, to have no one truly see her for who she was. She couldn't help but feel a flicker of hope as she looked at Lucas, seeing something different in his eyes. He wasn't offering her charity. He was offering her a chance to make a real difference in someone's life, just as she had done for him. "I don't know what to say," she whispered, her voice shaking slightly with the weight of his offer. "I've never had a steady job before. I've always just been struggling to survive." Lucas smiled softly. "This isn't about surviving. It's about living. I'll provide you with a place to stay, food, a steady salary. Everything you need to start over. But more than that, you'll be helping Ethan. And that's something I can't put a price on." Leah stood there for a moment, her mind racing. The idea of stability was something she had never dared to dream of, and yet here it was, offering itself to her on a silver platter. It was an opportunity to rebuild her life, to make a real difference in the world, and to help a little boy who had been broken by loss. "I'll do it," Leah said, her voice firm with newfound determination. "I'll help Ethan." Lucas's eyes softened with gratitude, a hint of relief crossing his face. "Thank you," he said, his voice low with sincerity. "You've already done more than you realize." As Leah stepped inside the Bennett household for the first time, she could feel the weight of the new chapter in her life unfolding before her. The house was grand, almost too much so for someone like her, but she had made her choice. This was a chance to start fresh, to make a difference, and to finally find a place where she truly belonged. The days that followed Leah's decision to accept Lucas's offer were a blur of change. It wasn't just the new job or the luxurious surroundings of the Bennett estate that were shifting her world. It was the slow, but undeniable transformation she felt within herself. For the first time in months, she woke up with a sense of purpose, not just out of necessity, but because she truly felt needed. Her role as Ethan's caregiver was more than she could have ever expected. The boy, who had been closed off and silent for so long, began to slowly warm up to her. At first, he only spoke in short phrases or asked for simple things, but over time, he started to open up bit by bit. Leah's calm presence, her gentle patience, and her unwavering empathy were things he had never had in his life, not since his mother had passed. One morning, as Leah sat on the floor beside Ethan, helping him put together a puzzle, he looked up at her with wide eyes and asked, "Why do you always smile?" Leah paused, surprised by the question. "Because life is still worth smiling about," she said softly, "even when it feels hard. Smiling helps me remember that there's always something good, even in the smallest things." Ethan thought for a moment, his small fingers continuing to piece together the puzzle. "I think I like your smile." Leah's heart swelled with a warmth she hadn't expected. Over the course of the next few weeks, the bond between them grew stronger. Leah's life, which had once been nothing more than a fight for survival, was now blossoming into something she had only dared to dream about. She began to see the beauty in the simple moments, helping Ethan with his schoolwork, making breakfast together, or watching him play in the garden. It wasn't just about keeping him entertained anymore. It was about truly being there for him, showing him he wasn't alone. Lucas, too, began to notice the changes. Every evening, after work, he would come home to find his son in a better mood, more animated, more engaged with the world around him. Leah had a soft, natural way of making Ethan feel safe, something Lucas hadn't been able to achieve on his own, despite all his wealth and resources. It wasn't just her presence, it was her genuine care, her ability to listen without judgment, that had started to heal the boy. One afternoon, Lucas sat in his office, watching the two of them through the window in the garden. Leah was sitting on the grass, laughing with Ethan as he showed her how he built a small fort from branches. For the first time in a long while, Lucas felt a sense of peace settle in his chest. He had been so consumed by work, by his business, by the need to succeed, that he hadn't noticed what he had been missing, a connection, not just with his son, but with the world around him. The door to his office opened, and Leah stepped in, her face flushed from the sun. "Ethan's finally got the hang of it," she said with a smile. "He's getting so much better at puzzles." Lucas looked at her, his gaze softening. "He's happy," he said quietly. Leah nodded. "He is. And I think I am too." For the first time in his life, Lucas wasn't focused on the next big deal, the next business opportunity. He found himself caring more about Ethan's laughter, about Leah's smile, about the moments that made their little family feel whole. He hadn't realized how much he had been missing, how disconnected he had become from the true meaning of life. Lucas's thoughts were interrupted when Leah spoke again. "Lucas, I wanted to thank you for this opportunity. You've given me a chance to be a part of something real." He smiled at her, feeling a deep sense of gratitude. "I think it's you who's given us something real, Leah. I don't know what I would have done without you." Leah's eyes softened, but she didn't respond right away. Instead, she looked at Ethan, who was now chasing after a butterfly, his laughter echoing in the distance. For the first time, she felt like she belonged. Not because she had found a job or a place to stay, but because she had found a family, a purpose, and a sense of peace she never thought was possible. As the days turned into weeks, Leah's life continued to transform in ways she could never have imagined. The mansion, once a place that felt entirely foreign and out of reach, became her home. More than that, it became the place where her heart began to heal, where she found a sense of belonging that had long eluded her. Ethan, who had once lived in a world of silence and sadness, now greeted her with smiles, laughter, and even small acts of affection. He would run to her with drawings, excited to show her his latest creations. The walls that had once seemed insurmountable, both in Ethan's heart and in Leah's, were slowly but surely coming down. Lucas watched it all unfold, his feelings for Leah deepening in ways he hadn't anticipated. There was something about her quiet strength, her resilience, and her unwavering kindness, that made him realize how much he had been missing. She was more than just someone who helped his son. She was the person who had brought light back into their lives. One evening, after dinner, Lucas and Leah found themselves sitting on the back porch, watching the sunset together. The air was warm, and the sound of crickets filled the quiet evening. Ethan was inside, asleep in his room, and for the first time in years, Lucas allowed himself to relax. "You know," Lucas said, breaking the silence, "I never thought I'd feel like this again. I spent so many years focused on my career, my business, and I forgot what really mattered. I lost sight of what was important." Leah turned to him, her eyes soft in the fading light. "I think we all lose sight of that sometimes," she said quietly. "It's easy to get caught up in the chase for success, but it's the simple moments, the ones that don't come with a price tag, that matter the most." Lucas smiled, feeling something stir within him, a feeling he hadn't had in a long time. "You're right," he said. "You've brought so much more than just a fresh start to this house. You've brought meaning." Leah looked at him, her expression thoughtful. "I didn't do it for any kind of reward. I just wanted to be here for Ethan. And for you. You're not just his father, you know. You're a man who's lost and found himself again, just like Ethan. And maybe we can help each other find our way." The words hung between them like a promise. Leah didn't need anything from Lucas. She didn't need his wealth or his status. What she needed was this, a connection, a chance to build something real and meaningful. Lucas reached out and gently took her hand, his heart full of emotions he hadn't known were there. "Leah," he said softly, "I'm not just offering you a job. I'm offering you a future. A future where we, together, can build something lasting. Not just for Ethan, but for us." Leah's breath caught in her throat, her heart racing at his words. She hadn't expected this, hadn't known that her simple act of returning a lost wallet would lead to this moment. But now, standing here with Lucas, she realized that this was the life she had always wanted. Not one of survival, but one of purpose, of connection, and of love. "I want that too," she whispered, squeezing his hand. "I want us to be a family." The words felt like a weight lifted off her chest. She had fought so hard to survive, but now, for the first time in years, she felt like she could finally live. And in that moment, under the soft glow of the setting sun, Leah realized that the life she had once dreamed of, one of love, security, and belonging, was finally within reach. Leah's journey from homelessness to finding love and stability is a powerful reminder that doing the right thing, even in the most challenging circumstances, can lead to life-changing rewards. Her decision to return a lost wallet, though small in the grand scheme of things, opened the door to opportunities she had never imagined. It's a testament to the power of integrity, honesty, and the belief that good things come to those who act with pure intentions. Leah's story shows us that no matter where we come from or how difficult life may seem, doing what's right can create a ripple effect that not only changes our own lives but the lives of those around us. In our own lives, we often face decisions where we have the choice between doing what's easy or doing what's right. Leah's story teaches us that choosing honesty and integrity, even when it seems like there's nothing to gain, can lead to unexpected blessings. Whether it's returning something you find or speaking up for what you believe in, these small acts of kindness and honesty build trust and create lasting impact. Embracing these values can lead to personal growth, meaningful relationships, and a sense of fulfillment that far outweighs any material gain. What would you have done if you were in Leah's shoes? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Would you have kept the money or returned it just like Leah? We can't wait to hear your opinion. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more inspiring stories like this one.